Mais gars, they got me on the YouTube again. So you guys remember when Sean Spicer was asked if these nationwide protests of Trump were organic? And he was like, no, this is basically professional protesters. And then the media mocked him mercilessly for like a week. Just to refresh, he said, oh, absolutely. I mean, protesting has become a profession now. They have every right to do that, don't get me wrong, but I think that we need to call it what it is. It's not these organic uprisings that we've seen through the last several decades. You know, the Tea Party movement was a very organic movement. This has become a very paid AstroTurf type movement. Well, it turns out he was exactly fucking right. And we have evidence now, at least in one instance in Louisiana. So this past week, Bill Cassidy, who's a U.S. Senator, was going around Louisiana to give town hall talks about health care and the repeal of the Affordable Care Act. And in at least 2 instances, he was bombarded by leftist opposition. This is Cassidy in Metairie, Louisiana, and shit got absolutely insane.
And so, usually it's the mother, but if the mom thinks... I'm not sure if it's objectionable if I point out that usually moms are the ones who, if it's usually the mom who is most engaged in a child's education. But that said, whether it's the mother or the father, I think the parent should be the one who has the most control over where that child attends school. So, if you look on YouTube, I can show you this clip, but I suspect...
Tell it now. Tell it now. No slide. Let's hear you talk about it.
Tell it. Answer his question. Answer the question.
I asked the boss, will you enforce the law? Absolutely. Do you support public education? She goes, absolutely.
She lied.
Are you committed to making sure, I think I have this question right, that every parent has a choice as to where to put their child? And that regardless, I fundamentally disagree that public funding is
So these aren't the most civil people, I think is the understatement of the century. Like, I don't know if you've ever been to a town hall meeting, but they are boring as fuck. Like, it's a 30-minute thing with like 8 old people, and they ask questions, and then they all talk about where they're going to go eat after. Like, it's just this very casual thing. So especially in Louisiana, like, this shit just never happens, and everyone thought it was fishy until someone leaked a recording of these guys who were organizing this and actively colluding pretty much to infiltrate this town hall meeting and dominate the conversation.
Seats inside that we could be filling.
Sure. Inside people, I have been told by Indivisible and other sources that we don't want to sit all together.
Right.
No,
We're some
right.
separate.
We want to spread throughout the audience. I mean, some people try and get in the front row, but we want to spread throughout the audience.
Game plan number 1 is to fill as many seats as we can, right? If it's all of us in there and the poor people of Rowbridge are sitting behind us, tough luck for them, right? You know, if we can arrange it so that he doesn't hear one sympathetic question, great. You know, that only magnifies our impact. Okay, so 10:30. town hall meeting ends, right? We have dominated the question and answering inside. We have dominated the media outside, right? Our numbers outside show that we have, large numbers of concerned people who disagree with the Trump agenda and want Cassidy to represent our differences in Washington, right? And inside, we have represented to him that we want him to stop walking in lockstep with Trump and start thinking about the effects of his healthcare ideas on the people of Louisiana and us specifically, right? So we've dominated this conversation at both ends. Town hall meeting ends, we meet at the lefties, okay, so we think a lot, right? But it's not just that, all right? And
You could just
AAR,
say we think.
Yeah. Tuesday.
guys, it's not just, the AAR is meant to capture the lessons learned, right? And the way it's usually done is you give one up and one down, right? What did we do right that we should continue to do? What should we sustain? And what do we improve for next time we do this, right? But I've been doing this kind of thing for many years, and I've never really seen anybody actually capture those lessons and move on to the next one, except like after the second time, somebody says, hey, we said that last time, we should have not done that again, or we should have changed that up. But what it does is it also gives everybody a chance to say what they saw and contribute their narrative to the narrative that we developed together, and to build our ability to work with one another and our cohesion as a team to be able to perform these events more successfully in the future. Yes.
Oh, and the other thing is that plainclothes cops have already been to Letter Indivisible's events, so I don't know the country.
Thank you for volunteering to tackle those questions. What I would like is, can you get us those questions back by Thursday, let's just say? So that we can roll into this thing with these questions. Okay, and look, what we're going to do is we're going to bring you back whatever they do at Metairie and see if they got effective questions there, or if there's something that they've already asked and they had answered that's ineffective, we'll cross-check the list. Yes. Dress conservatively, behave conservatively, right? Look, hey, we dress like students, or dress like housewives, wearing a suit and a tie. Anybody remember the old song? Feelings, all right. Safety pins, stuff, any signifier that you're a liberal, leave it.
So Spicer's point, at least for this case, was right fucking on. I mean, these guys prepared in advance to completely dominate this town hall meeting in order to make it look to the media and to the general public that this was organic. I can't personally say if they were paid or not, but the guy in the recording said he had been doing this for years, which indicates to me that he's either a successful amateur or a paid professional. Now, the goddamn media coverage of this is the other crazy thing because they lost their goddamn minds. I mean, CBS News did this article and video that completely supported the idea that Trump is crazy for thinking these people were paid professionals. The headline is, Town Hall protesters scoff at Trump admins claim they're paid agitators. Now, personally, I don't care whether you scoff. I mean, you can scoff all you want, and also scoffing doesn't change the truth of anything. I care whether you actually are a paid protester, but I guess the reporter didn't really care about that. But, okay, here's what it says. Republican members of Congress holding town meetings with constituents are facing loud protests from opponents of President Trump. The administration claims professionals outside agitators are partly to blame. If professional agitators were lurking in the line outside of the Jefferson Parish Library Wednesday night, we didn't meet them. Okay. What the fuck, first of all? How would you know if you met them or not? Do you think if a reporter asks a person, hey, are you part of a covert organization trying to screw over Bill Cassidy, they would be like, yes? Also, why don't you go into the actual meeting, like the actual town hall meeting, because those guys were fucking crazy. Like, how could you not think they were paid protesters? It was totally obvious. Anyway, look at us. Do we look like loud individuals? Do we look like paid protesters? Said one of the women protesting outside. Now, this is an old lady. I guess I can see where the reporter's coming from, but the thing is, we now have audio with people saying you need to look like a conservative. Don't wear your normal, crazy communist gear today, okay? We're going to look like people of repute. I am in this until I die, if that's necessary, said one woman named Carol, who held a flag. I feel that strongly. I am in this until I die. Yeah, that totally sounds like an everyday American to me. I know when I see people at Kmart, they're always talking about how they would die if the Affordable Care Act isn't repealed. That's totally not something a paid professional would say. The article goes on like that, and when I was researching, I noticed the reporter kind of flipped sides because in this article she said there were no professional protesters. Like she said that in the first fucking paragraph. But she was interviewed about the story later on, and she kind of says, well, yeah, there were protesters, but, they're just like the Tea Party.
Well, the question is whether organization makes protests somehow less legitimate. I mean, the history of protests in this country, whether you're looking at the civil rights movement or women's rights, there was some organization to any of those protests. There was organization when it came to the Tea Party. People have to communicate with one another and decide where they're going to hold their protests, when they're going to hold their protests. So the fact that someone is out there sending out emails saying, let's gather at this town hall, here's when it's taking place, here's where it's taking place, doesn't automatically delegitimize the anger that those people are feeling when they show up.
Okay, so what does delegitimize a protest? Like, I'm genuinely curious about this because I've yet to hear an answer as to what constitutes an illegitimate protest from a liberal. They fucking love protesting. It's all they do. I actually believe they were hoping for Trump to win because it gave them an excuse to protest for another 4 years. These protesters had organized beforehand, okay? And the organization wasn't about what kind of flags do we hold or where are we going to eat after. They're talking about how to maximize their own exposure to the media and how to make sure Cassidy has no chance to respond. They could give a shit about actually talking to Cassidy, which is the entire point of the fucking town hall meeting. They just want to make sure he comes off looking like a monster while they look like these brave protesters who are facing the mean Republican monster. I actually believe the Tea Party was a pretty legitimate protest because they weren't marching, or if they were, it was a very nice march. I mean, these actually were mostly old people, and even if you didn't agree with their policies, it was basically just retired guys. They sat in chairs and they talked to people who wanted to know what they thought. You can watch interviews of the town at the time. I saw a bunch of them, and they were perfectly cordial. They certainly didn't yell at elected officials. They weren't trying to get attention. They weren't virtue signaling. They actually had concerns for their country. And actually, the scariest part of that recording was the guy talking about getting their narrative across. What they want is to make it look like Louisiana fucking hates the ACA and that people, or repealing the ACA, and that people hate Cassie, with specific concern to how they are represented in the media. They know exactly how reporters work, and when they want to get them to pay attention to their group by making sure they cater to everything the reporter needs. To me, that seems like the new grassroots movement that is going to actually be kind of effective. It's kind of scary how effective it is already, because making it look like everyone hates Cassidy's ideas means that will transfer to opinion pundits on TV asking, is Bill Cassidy an idiot? And then liberal articles will write articles saying, here's why Bill Cassidy is an idiot. And then conservative websites will go, why Bill Cassidy isn't an idiot. And they've already won at that point because the framework is now Bill Cassidy, an idiot. And to get that going, they've heavily organized to infiltrate a boring town hall meeting in order to radicalize the country with their own agenda on Bill Cassidy. This is how they are weaponizing the media, and the media refuses to acknowledge it.